The following message is being transmitted at the request of North American Aerospace Defense Command, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, the Department of Defense, and the White House. This is a national emergency. Please stand by. The following message is being transmitted at the request of North American Aerospace Defense Command, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, the Department of Defense, and the White House. This is an emergency action notification. All broadcast and cable systems will transmit this message. During this emergency, normal programming will be suspended for an indefinite period, and telephone lines will be restricted to military use only. The Department of Defense along with the National Aeronautics and Space Administration have now been able to identify the objects residing in the skies of Ohio. It has been confirmed by experts that these are U.S.-manufactured satellites launched in 1960, but decommissioned in 1997, which were launched in the hopes of controlling the weather remotely, in order to prevent severe weather from impacting the United States. However, these satellites have now been hijacked and reactivated by an unknown force. After communicating with the Chinese Communist Party, the Kremlin, and North Korea, it has been determined that the force causing these events is not controlled by a political adversary, and the current belief is that an artificial intelligence of some sort has hijacked these satellites with the intention of causing widespread destruction and chaos across the continental United States. While the reason for these actions are unknown, it is believed that all 89 known TIROS Weatherman series satellites have been reactivated and sent on direct courses for major population centers across the United States. The White House would like to state that every available resource is being deployed in order to neutralize the Weatherman satellites, and that while they expect the neutralization of these vessels to be quick and concise, that due to the amount of satellites, the entire continental United States has been placed under a shelter-in-place warning, which will remain in effect until further notice. Please stand by for a message from the President of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, today is quite possibly one of the most tumultuous times in American history. Today, we have been attacked by an artificial intelligence which has apprehended control of the TIROS Weatherman satellite system, which were launched under Operation Weather Watch beginning in 1960, with the final TIROS satellite being delivered to the Earth's orbit in 1997. This intelligence has not communicated with us, despite our numerous attempts to negotiate with it, and there have been no demands made or line of reasoning disclosed as to why this is happening to us. But one thing is clear, that no matter who it is that is attacking us, we, as the American people, will refuse to be silenced by something that cannot even stand on its own 2 feet. Because it has none. I say to this intelligence, you have shown us that you despise logic and intend to destroy us. And so, I say to you, we will return the favor and destroy you. You will never again formulate any thoughts. You will face the wrath of the United States. And you will never extinguish the flames of democracy. Long live democracy, and God bless the United States of America.
That was a message from the President of the United States. The United States Space Force and the United States Air Force are currently mobilizing for direct strikes on the TIROS satellite systems which are currently causing havoc across the country. Until the conclusion of this operation, all citizens need to take shelter in a basement or bomb shelter at once. Do not delay. Doing so will put your life in extreme danger. This is the emergency notification system serving the Rocky Ridge area. During this emergency, most stations will remain off the air, and will only carry the emergency notification system and news programming. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 30 seconds.
Long distance? You say you've got through to Aristotle Jones in the States? Good, put him on. Hello, Tut.
Hello, SQ-1. I'm certainly glad to hear from you. I was getting worried. Where are you?
A little town in Alaska called White River. We completed our mission and flew in to refuel. Be taking off in about 20 minutes. You should be home tomorrow about 0900.
No, go home, Mr. Pilot. You stop here.
There's a little interruption here, Tut. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
This is an attack warning. I repeat, this is an attack warning. All broadcast stations and cable systems shall transmit this message. This station has interrupted regularly scheduled programming at the request of the White House to participate in the emergency notification system. During this emergency, most stations will remain on the air to broadcast news and emergency instructions to the public in assigned areas. This is WNEC. We will continue to serve the Rocky Ridge area. If you are not in this local area, you should now tune to a station providing emergency information for your local area. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines should be kept open for official use only. The following message is transmitted at the request of the White House, the Department of Defense, and the Department of Homeland Security. This is not a test. A nuclear attack has just taken place against the United States. Approximately 8 minutes ago, Canadian officials contacted the United States government reporting that residents in the Yukon Territory witnessed the detonation of a high-yield nuclear missile in Alaska. Due to the unknown identity of the aggressors, and the ongoing outage of defensive satellite systems, this detonation was not detected until the explosion had already taken place. At this time, due to the unknown integrity of national security, all residents of the United States should immediately seek out a fallout or bomb shelter. If you know of a nearby fallout or bomb shelter that is open to the public, you should now proceed there at once. It is unknown if or where the enemy will strike next, and for that reason, all citizens should treat their residences as direct targets of nuclear warfare. If you do not know of a fallout or bomb shelter in your area, go to a basement, underground parking garage, or if possible, a deep cave, and remain there until further notice. Do not use elevators for any reason. Lock and secure all windows and doors, if sheltering in your home, and place as many objects between you and the outside world as possible. Do not delay. Due to the inoperative nature of defensive radar systems, it will be too late to seek shelter by the time an attack takes place. Have a battery-operated radio or television with you during your stay in the shelter, and ensure that you have spare batteries, if at all possible. This is an emergency interruption of the emergency notification system. This is not a test. I say again, this is not a test. In a moment, you will be receiving special, pre-recorded instructions from the Department of Defense. Obey and follow these instructions immediately.
These instructions were designed in compliance with the Homeland Defense Act of 2001. We repeat, this is not a test. The following instructions have been designed to offer you, the listener, a better chance of survival in the event of an invasion of the mainland United States. Please follow them immediately and concisely. And above all, do not panic. It has been clearly proven that in the event of national emergency, panic is among life's deadliest killers. Your primary objective at this moment is to seek out military protection as soon as possible. If you are outdoors at the present moment and cannot seek out military protection in a quick and concise manner, then do your best to find a secure location where you will not be discovered by enemy invaders. And if you cannot find a pre-existing place of shelter, do your best to fabricate one with materials you currently have on your person. Ensure that if you shelter in place, that there are no sidelines for anyone from the outside world. Remaining undetected by the invading force is of the utmost importance. If this is impossible as well, then place yourself below ground, or create a below-ground shelter, such as digging a hole or pit, and covering it with a floor mat or rug. Remember, some form of concealment is far more valuable than no concealment at all. If you are already in a sufficient shelter, or under military protection, do the following at once. Vacate any and all upper floors of structures, and move to the lowest and most obscured location possible to a place of refuge. Avoid areas with exposed surfaces such as windows or doors. If you must take shelter in such an area, do your best to secure openings these surfaces have created, with whatever materials are available to you. Furniture, towels, and tape can be effectively used to secure exposed surfaces. Remember that your primary goal is protection and survival of this nation. Leaving your shelter will greatly decrease the chance of success. Remove all constrictive clothing, such as ties, shoes, belts, eyeglasses, rings, necklaces, and bracelets. Ensure that you do not have any items on you which produce significant amounts of noise, such as wristwatches, cellular phones, speakers, pocket change, or pocket pens. Empty all pockets. When you first become aware that the invasion has reached your area, such as through the sound of gunfire or the sign of brilliant flashes of light, quiet yourself and remain calm. Under no circumstances, look outside, or allow anyone to enter your home once you're aware of an ongoing attack, regardless of relation to you. Doing so will compromise the security of you and anyone else inside of your shelter. If anyone forces themselves inside of your shelter, remain calm and ensure that you are sufficiently concealed. Stay where you are, and remain still. Even after any intruders have exited your line of sight, or have not been noticed as remaining in your shelter, continue to remain calm, still, and in your place. The intruders could simply be waiting for you to let your guard down, so that they may exterminate you. Bring a battery-operated portable radio and headphones with you to the shelter, and continue to monitor radio broadcasts for additional instructions. Do not leave your shelter until an emergency action termination has been issued. Again, do not leave your shelter until an emergency action termination has been issued. If no radio broadcasts can be picked up at any time during your stay in the shelter, power down your device to conserve energy, and attempt to listen to future broadcasts at a later time.
The following is a law enforcement emergency message. This message has been transmitted at the request of the Rocky Ridge Police Department and North American Aerospace Defense Command. This is not a test. Here is an update on the ground invasion of Rocky Ridge. Approximately 4 hours ago, a military force was dispatched by the United States Army, which was tasked with eliminating the invading force which was attacking citizens in Rocky Ridge. As of 25 minutes ago, the United States Army can confirm that the invading presence has now been neutralized, and that for now, Rocky Ridge is free of hostile forces. However, it has also been confirmed that many other cities, including Milwaukee, Green Bay, Chicago, Columbus, St. Louis, and many more, have not been freed of enemy presence. At this time, while Rocky Ridge is free of hostiles, all citizens are being advised to remain in their homes until further notice, and while it is now safe to leave your place of shelter, you are being asked that you remain your shelter intact, if it was constructed at the time of the emergency, and that you be prepared to return to your shelter at a moment's notice. This is WNEC TV. We will continue to serve the Rocky Ridge area. If you are not in this local area, you should tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. We now return you to regular programming.
How do you do, gentlemen? Welcome to Saipan.
The professor wants to know the meaning of those tom-toms.
Oh, so you're curious about our drums? Well, they're what the natives use for a jungle telegraph when, Oh, but I don't suppose you ever heard of the Phantom.
Isn't that the native legend about the man who never dies?
Exactly. Whenever there's trouble brewing, he uses those drums to call a meeting of all the tribal leaders.
Does such a man really exist?
Oh, yes, he does.
And the natives really believe him to be immortal?
They do indeed. But naturally, we know him to be nothing more than a clever showman who exploits the ignorant savage's superstitious fear.
Where does this Phantom live?
At the Tonga village, about a day's journey into the interior.
Very interesting indeed. I'd like to run across him sometime.
I think you'll find that rather difficult, Professor.
The following is a civil danger warning. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Rocky Ridge Police Department and the United States Army. Approximately 2 minutes ago, an unknown figure was spotted trespassing inside of the Giant Eagle supermarket at 22,160 Central Ridge Road. This individual was then approached by members of the United States Army, who after communicating with the individual, were forced to open fire on this individual, after they charged directly out of the front window of the store, and attempted to subdue authorities. While the United States Army opened fire on this individual, their ammunition seemed to have no effect on the suspect, who quickly fled the scene, and is now at large in the community. Citizens should be on the lookout for any persons who match the following description. A muscular individual, wearing partially torn black jean shorts, with a bright red belt, and a black champion undershirt, which should now sport multiple bullet holes. This individual also was not wearing any shoes, had a strange mechanical device strapped to their back, and had their face fully concealed by some sort of face mask, which has the ability to change appearance. Disturbingly, it was observed that this face mask somehow has the ability to mimic the facial features of anyone it makes direct eye contact with, and therefore, citizens are being asked to avoid making eye contact with any individuals who are not currently with you, or match the description of this wanted individual. While the individual did not have any formal weaponry on them at the time of the initial incident, citizens should treat the suspect as armed and extremely dangerous. To protect the public, all citizens are being asked to call 911 if they should see the suspect, and are being advised that for no reason should they attempt to reason with the suspect, or give them any respite or aid. Again, citizens are being asked to call 911 should they see the suspect, and are being advised that for no reason should they attempt to reason with the suspect, or give them any respite or aid. Authorities will begin searching the city within the next 5 to 10 minutes, and if individuals affiliated with the United States Army attempt to question you, that they should be given any information, but should not be directly looked at, or given entrance to your current location, in case that the suspect decides to mimic the appearance of service members. Again, an extremely dangerous suspect is on the loose in the town of Rocky Ridge, and citizens are being asked to exercise extreme caution should they spot the suspect, and that they should alert authorities immediately should they see the suspect. This is WNEC TV. We will continue to serve the Rocky Ridge area. If you are not in this local area, you should now tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated to keep you informed of situations posing civil danger. We now return you to regularly scheduled programming.
Able my son at Melville University. Tell him to take a plane to Saipan at once. Mula Mula.
Seen a nigga shoot or get shot. He look like he gon' tell. I can tell he got used to not using his Glock, like he tucking his tail. I can look at him, tell he don't do this a lot. By the looks I can tell, he gon' tell everything that we do to the cops. Can look at him and tell it, dog. Type of nigga, he don't want no smoke, we in hell at all. Or the guns out the catalog, bring a fentanyl. On the road with that Adderall. Got some niggas from Saginaw, used to pull it down off a 6 mile of metal tour. Back and forth like some paddleboard. Heard the feds press down and that boy wrote a Tylenol. My little nigga be drilling for real. Shot the fuck up, but he still in the field. Same niggas that hit on my guy, I bet you they die for the shit he been healed. In the field where his killer be killed. Got some murderous thoughts, first body I caught, man, that shit is still give me the chills. First 30 I bought was quick to lick off when niggas was spinning my wheels. Give a fuck what she think, come see me in the clink on my kids, I ain't missing no meals. Ain't no love, I ain't giving no deals. Little brother just got sentenced to L. Empty out on.
The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Piqua Police Department, the Ohio Department of Energy, and the Department of Homeland Security. This is a civil emergency message. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. Around 10 minutes ago, police dispatchers received a call from multiple workers at the Piqua Power Plant on 919 South Main Street in the town of Piqua, Ohio. These calls were reporting that an individual matching the description of the Phantom, a suspect wanted in connection to the brutal killings of multiple police officers in the town of Rocky Ridge approximately 48 hours ago. The calls state that the Phantom has infiltrated the power plant's control room and is holding an unknown female individual hostage. The female hostage has been reported to have been abducted from her home in Rocky Ridge over 24 hours ago. The Phantom around 5 minutes ago called dispatchers themselves and has issued an ultimatum. Bring them the Secretary of the Department of the Interior within the next 12 hours, or they will initiate a full meltdown of the nuclear reactors inside of the facility. At this time, no further contact with the suspect or anyone inside of the power plant has been made, and citizens within a 50-mile radius of the Piqua power plant are being ordered to gather their things and immediately evacuate outside of a 50-mile radius of the Piqua power plant. And in addition, citizens should for no reason attempt to go to the Piqua power plant. I say again, for no reason attempt to go to the Piqua power plant. Further information will be transmitted as soon as it becomes available. This is the emergency notification system serving the Miami County area. If you are not in this local area, you should now tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. This is TV2 in Piqua. We will continue to serve the Piqua area. Do not use the telephone. Telephone lines should remain open for official use only. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute. The following message has been issued at the request of the Ohio State Highway Patrol, the Department of Transportation, and the Miami County Sheriff's Office. This is a law enforcement warning for the following location. In Ohio, eastern Miami County. Approximately 15 minutes ago, members of the Miami County Sheriff's Office and members of the Ohio State Highway Patrol were assisting citizens to evacuate areas within a 50-mile radius of the Piqua power plant in Piqua, Ohio, when a large unidentified military transport was spotted forcefully moving towards the city of Piqua. Officers attempted to apprehend those inside of this vehicle, but were unsuccessful. Within moments, gunfire began to erupt from inside of the vehicle, and as many as 25 police officers were killed, and as many as 15 civilians have been critically injured. This vehicle has continued on a forceful path towards the Piqua power plant via US Route 36, and due to this, all traffic is being redirected off of Route 36, and US Route 36 will be closed until further notice, in order to prevent the further loss of life. If you are hearing this, and are currently on West US Route 36 anywhere from 36 Skate Club to downtown Piqua, pull your vehicle over immediately, and take shelter in a ditch or low-lying area, and do not impede this vehicle. At this time, it is unclear who is driving this military transport, and military officials are baffled as to who is behind these attacks, as they have not deployed any forces as of yet to assist authorities on site at the Piqua power plant. For anyone still in Piqua, for the time being it is being advised that you get off of the roads, or if you have not begun evacuating, that you shelter in place until the transport is past your area. Further instructions will be transmitted as soon as they become available. This is the emergency notification system. This message will repeat until further information is received. Ohio, when a large unidentified military transport was spotted forcefully moving towards the city of Piqua. Officers attempted to apprehend those inside of this vehicle, but were unsuccessful. Within moments, gunfire began to erupt from.
This is the emergency notification system. This station is currently experiencing technical difficulties. At this time, change to another channel and attempt to retrieve information about the ongoing emergency in your area. This is the emergency notification system. This station is currently experiencing
mystery, danger, fifth column activity. Aha, secret weapons, deadly formulas. These are the forerunners of invasion. They see their wall being attacked and strangers entering the city. And to them, it's a real invasion. And the army marches forth to battle.
Hey, there goes one of those petticoat soldiers now.
Yeah. My sister wants to join the wax. What do you think of that?
Huh. She's crazy.
Now, you have already learned to protect yourself from many of your enemies. If a storm should come, you find shelter in your house.
These boys and girls have learned a rhyme. Matches, matches, never touch. They can hurt you very much. Matches, matches, never touch. They can hurt you very much.
The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Department of Defense, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the Central Intelligence Agency, the Office of the Governor, and the White House. This is an administrative message. All broadcast and cable stations shall transmit this message. During this emergency, most stations will remain on the air to provide up-to-the-minute news and emergency information to the public in assigned areas. This station will continue to provide information pertaining to the Piqua area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. Approximately 10 minutes ago, following the Phantom's hijacking of the emergency notification system in the Miami County area, they requested an immediate audience with the President of the United States, as well as alleging 2 acts of treason being committed by members of this administration, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Central Intelligence Agency, the Department of Defense and the White House. At this time, the Central Intelligence Agency can confirm that full control of the emergency notification system has been returned to the proper authorities, and furthermore, the Department of Defense and FBI can now report that they have, after a discussion with the Governor of Ohio, agreed to send in support, in order to protect law and order, and to neutralize both the Phantom and the unidentified military transport, which at this time has arrived on site at the Piqua power plant, and as of last communication with law enforcement on the scene, has slaughtered authorities on the scene in extreme numbers, with as many as 90 police and SWAT members being executed by this force, which the FBI now believes is affiliated with the Phantom's former employer, the serial killer known simply as the Weatherman. It is as of yet unknown whether or not the Weatherman is still alive, or if an as of yet unidentified individual or group is acting under the guise of the Weatherman. But regardless of who is committing this act of domestic terrorism, the United States government would like to reassure citizens that this administration does not negotiate with terrorists, and as for the request of the Phantom, the President would like to inform the Phantom and whomever is listening, that this administration will not be cooperating with the Phantom, unless the Phantom can inform this administration of a matter of national security which this administration believes the Phantom has knowledge of. At this time, all citizens within a 100-mile radius of Piqua, Ohio are now being ordered to seek out their nearest fallout or bomb shelter, as a precaution. In addition, the Department of Defense has mobilized troops to report to Piqua, Ohio, in order to assist in neutralizing these threats at once, and will arrive on site within the next hour. Finally, the President of the United States would like to inform the Phantom that if they are cooperative with this administration's request, that their demands will be met as soon as the President is informed of a matter of national security, and that the deadline to communicate this will be in approximately 2 hours. This message will repeat until further notice. The emergency notification system has been activated.
It is quite nice to finally speak one-on-one. You have caused quite the ruckus, you know, Mr. Phantom.
I apologize for the scene you are currently having to deal with. While I wish that my demands would have been met first, I can understand your need for a justification in doing so. But I know that you are wondering about the status of a matter of global security.
That is quite right. I do presume you have contacted me to discuss the matter, yes?
That is correct, Mr. President. I assume you have your cabinet with you in the room, yes?
That is correct. Why do you ask? Are you insinuating that I cannot trust my cabinet?
Have all of them leave but 3. Allow the director of FEMA, the representative from the National Weather Service, and the Secretary of Defense remain with you. Everyone else must leave.
All right. I have sent them away. Now please, you must tell us what you know.
I would like to state once again, Mr. President. Matches, never touch. They can hurt you, very much. I stated to you that you would find the citizens of White River, Alaska in the parking garage of Dodger Stadium. I would implore you to also take a look at the locker of the left fielder. There you will find the antidote.
The antidote for what? I just had my medical checkup a few days ago, and I had no signs of illness. Furthermore, there is no pandemic or epidemic at the moment. I need you to please elaborate. But thank you for sparing the lives of those in White River. Before you continue, may I ask one question of you about White River? The nuclear detonation there. That was the weatherman, wasn't it?
Yes. I'm afraid that it was. They've been watching from above for a while now. You should have taken out the Tyros satellites a long time ago. But the illness has not come yet. The illness will come in 3 days.
The antidote? Please, get to the point.
Don't fret, Mr. President, I am getting there. But for now, I must pass along the message to you, Mr. Defense Secretary. You as well must refrain from playing with matches. The matches are in Stamford, Connecticut, in an abandoned medical facility for Pure Health Incorporated. You will find it inside of the piano in the lobby. Should you search for these matches, you must connect with me in person. You know how to contact me. Now regarding the use for that antidote. This is a matter I will be entrusting to both FEMA and the National Weather Service. In 3 days, a series of severe rainstorms will develop. These storms will be controlled by the weatherman. I can assure you that the weatherman is alive and well, thanks to the Daedalus Corporation. He has been residing inside of the Tyros satellites for years now, and he plans to use them, as well as the virus that was developed in Stamford, to unleash the things of nightmares. He intends, firstly, to launch an attack on the graveyards of this country. You see, the virus that will be infused with these rainstorms will bring life back to the dead. And the dead will roam the earth. You must not take this lightly, Mr. President. And neither should you, Mr. Defense Secretary. You must speak with your most trusted men and women in the armed forces, and you must begin to mobilize for an operation of great importance.
And what do you intend for us to do in this operation? Have the armed forces sit around and wait for grave robbers?
Oh, you will not be waiting for grave robbers, Mr. Secretary. You will be waiting for grave diggers. All that the weatherman's forces will be doing will be uncovering the soil that buries the dead. This is so that the corpses of humanity's ancestors may be soaked with this virus, giving them a new purpose. He has forces that number in the hundreds of thousands. You will need to ensure that every major graveyard in this country remain on alert. The more of them you can stop, the less walking that you will have to terminate. If you don't, America will fall by the end of the month. And after that, the rest of the world. Now that I have given you the information you have asked for, will you allow me and my new companion to leave peacefully?
Very well. I agree to your terms. One last thing. Is it true that you are a machine?
Yes. I was once a law-abiding citizen. But the Daedalus Corporation offered me and my wife a chance to pilot the Orion program in 2018. We didn't know what we were getting into. My wife didn't survive the consciousness transfer, but I did. I only recently regained full control of my body, and before that, I was a soldier for the weatherman. He was once a meteorologist who was on payroll for the Daedalus Corporation, and they managed to get Daedalus to hand control over the Peacekeeper program to them.
I'm sorry that I asked. I hope that we may speak again, Mr. Phantom. This country thanks you for your support. I look forward to speaking with you in person. Would you be willing to meet me here at the White House after the storms have subsided to discuss further actions to be taken?
I would very much like that, as would my companion. It would be nice to have a pre-planned conversation for the first time in ages. I look forward to it.
I will see you then. Goodbye for now, Mr. Phantom.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled programming. This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow. Please stand by. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is not a test. Within the past hour, the Department of Defense has received information from the Phantom which indicates that a chemical attack against the United States is likely within the next 36 hours. Repeating, a chemical attack against the United States is likely within the next 36 hours. This chemical attack will impact all of North America, and immediate actions must be taken to properly prepare for these attacks. This chemical attack will be initiated by air, and for this reason, the following actions must be taken at once. All citizens are being ordered to immediately fortify their homes, to prevent any chemicals from reaching you, once the attack commences. These attacks will likely be spread by deadly, smoke-like gases, and in order to prevent infection from any possible viruses these chemicals may contain, you must perform the following. Lock and secure all windows and doors. Use wood or metal, and ensure that any and all cracks or openings are secured, so that the chances of these chemicals entering your home are decreased significantly. Secondly, once you hear air raid sirens signaling the initiation of the attack, turn off all heating and ventilation systems. When securing doors and windows, you should also forcibly seal any chimneys as well using metal, wood, brick, or concrete. Do not allow your home to be impacted by these gases. These chemicals are believed to only have a lifespan of 3 days, so approximately 3 days after the attack occurs, it will be safe to restart heating and ventilation systems, but it will not yet be safe to remove anything used to secure windows or doors. There is also a chance that a ground invasion may take place following the attack, and for this reason, all branches of the United States military will be mobilizing at once, and sent to cities across the country, in order to maintain law and order, and to neutralize any ground threats during and following the attack. To ensure cooperation, the President has just ordered a national state of martial law, which will take effect at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. Between now and then, please gather any supplies you may need, and if you require assistance, or are unable to properly secure your residence, you may also seek out a fallout or bomb shelter. Until the commencement of the attack, programming will be broadcast nationwide, in order to further inform the public of what to do in the event of this kind of an attack. Your government thanks you for your cooperation, and the President will be speaking on all channels following the conclusion of the attack. Please stay tuned for this message. This is the emergency notification system serving the Minneapolis area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. We now return you to regularly scheduled programming.
If I were surrounded by 6 or 8 of these things, would I stand a chance with them?
Well, there's no problem. If you had a gun, shoot him in the head. That's a sure way to kill him. If you don't, get yourself a club or a torch. Beat him or burn him. They go up pretty easy.
Well, Chief McClellan, how long do you think it will take you until you get the situation under control?
Well, that's pretty hard to say.
The following message is being transmitted at the request of the Minnesota National Guard. This is a civil emergency message. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. Within the last 15 minutes, the National Guard has come into contact with unidentified individuals roaming the streets of Minneapolis, vandalizing property and attempting to breach the homes of law-abiding citizens. Upon confrontation of these individuals, the Minnesota National Guard was met with extreme aggression from these individuals, and it has been reported that the National Guard is having significant trouble handling this situation. At this time, all citizens hearing this message are being asked to remain in their homes, in order to avoid contact with any of these individuals, and to continue to protect yourselves from the ongoing chemical attack. It has now been reported that the chemicals have been spread via the rain, and that persons who come in contact with rain experience severe headaches and increased aggression towards others. For this reason, please ensure that, if there are any areas of your shelter which begin to allow rainwater into your shelter, that you avoid these areas at all cost. The National Weather Service believes that the storms will subside within the next few hours, and while you will then be able to turn back on heating and air conditioning systems, it is asked that you still keep your windows and doors secured, as previously requested. Finally, should one of these individuals enter your shelter, citizens should protect themselves at all costs, and while there have not been any studies done upon infected individuals, it is not believed to be contagious. Repeating, should one of these individuals enter your shelter, be prepared to protect yourself. Similar incidents have been reported nationwide, and the U.S. government would like to assure citizens that this matter will be dealt with swiftly, and with as little damage to civilian property as possible. The President of the United States will be making an address on all channels within the next half hour. Please stay tuned for this message. This is the emergency notification system serving the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and emergency information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans. Today, America has been attacked in multiple areas simultaneously. This attack has been carried out by individuals we now believe to be affiliated with an individual who goes by the name of the Weatherman. The Weatherman is responsible for the chemical attacks which have been ravaging our nation, and now, they have taken their assault from the air to American soil. As I speak, countless cities across the nation are being ravaged by these individuals, who have shown no humanity whatsoever, and these individuals have been acting as if ammunition utilized by our troops are nothing more than pieces of gravel to them. These individuals have, and will continue to harm our nation, unless drastic measures are taken. And today, after discussing with many of my advisors, as well as the United Nations, we have come to a two-pronged neutralization effort. The first part of this will be a nationwide blackout, which will commence following this message's conclusion. We believe that the Weatherman is using satellites to attack this nation, as well as powered weaponry, and for this reason, we have come to the conclusion that a nationwide blackout will most likely prove most successful in neutralizing the weapons that the Weatherman has at their disposal. And secondly, after consulting with my fellow heads of state in Russia, China, North Korea, and Japan, we have decided to launch a nuclear assault on the Tyros weather satellites that we believe have been delivering the chemicals being used in this attack. As we speak, as many as 300 nuclear missiles are being or already have been launched, targeting Tyros satellites in the Earth's orbit. While the radiation from these missiles will likely not impact the public, these missiles will cause a global electronic blackout as well, and during this time, I would like to urge citizens to seek out a battery or crank-operated radio or television, in order to continue receiving information in these dire times. In closing, I would like to apologize to the American people on behalf of this administration. I am sorry that I was not able to stop this threat sooner, and I truly hope that the next time you hear my voice, it will be a message of victory, and not of evasion. Please now seek out a battery or crank-operated radio or television, and prepare for a global blackout. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
That was a message from the President of the United States. This station will now temporarily cease transmission in accordance with the nationwide blackout order. Please tune to 640 or 1240 on the AM dial to continue to hear the emergency notification system until this station resumes transmission. This station will now cease transmission. The The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the United States Army, and the White House. This is an evacuation watch. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. Here is an update on the ongoing crisis impacting the United States. After observations made by the United States Space Force, as well as the United Nations, the plan to eliminate the weather meant by global power blackout and nuclear strikes has failed. NORAD reports that only around half of the nuclear missiles detonated and impacted their targets, with 150 nuclear missiles now being set for unknown impact locations in deep space. Furthermore, while the National Weather Service can now report that ongoing isolated rain showers do not contain any biological agents, the United States Army has reported that the amount of infected individuals which are roaming the streets of the United States now number anywhere from 5 million to 15 million persons. These individuals now have also begun to break into shelters and have been committing acts of cannibalism against citizens seeking shelter. For this reason, and the slow rate at which the Army is neutralizing this threat, the White House and the Federal Emergency Management Agency is now issuing a nationwide evacuation watch. Evacuation watch means that citizens should begin to prepare for the possibility that they will need to evacuate this country to further safe locations, such as military bases, or if possible, locations outside of the United States. Border agents will now begin accepting anyone who is not showing signs of infection across both the Canadian and Mexican borders, and a significant amount of military personnel will also be deployed to each of these borders, in order to protect citizens, should they need to evacuate. At this time, citizens should begin gathering supplies that they will need in the event of evacuation, such as medical supplies, food, water, a battery or crank-operated radio or television, food, and water to last at least 14 days, clothing, and any other supplies which will be necessary to facilitate a greater chance of survival. At this time, citizens should not yet begin to evacuate, as the President hopes that these individuals will be eliminated in a timely manner, and that citizens will not need to leave their shelters, but understands that there is a chance that the operation to neutralize the threat may prove unsuccessful. Again, citizens hearing this message should now begin to prepare for the event of an evacuation order. This message will repeat in 1 minute. This is the emergency notification system serving the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, you should now tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. We interrupt regularly scheduled programming. This is a national emergency. Important information will follow. Please stand by. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States government, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the White House. This is an evacuation order for the continental United States. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. Within the last 8 hours, the situation involving the individuals who have been slaughtering innocent Americans has become far more severe than it had previously been. The United States Army now estimates that anywhere from 30 million to 50 million of these individuals are roaming the streets of America, and now have begun targeting the homes of citizens simply attempting to remain unharmed. For this reason, along with the increased number of individuals who now are attacking citizens, the President, after a brief discussion with members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, has come to the conclusion that, in order to prevent further losses of life, that a full-scale evacuation of the United States must now begin. NATO will be supplying the United States with military reinforcements, and these troops will arrive in the United States for one purpose: to assist citizens in evacuating to the eastern and western seaboards of the United States. Well, over the next week, citizens must evacuate the country, and will be transported to the following locations. For citizens evacuating at the eastern seaboard, citizens will be transported to locations in Western Europe and West Africa, and will be residing in these locations until the situation has been resolved. For citizens evacuating at the western seaboard, citizens will be transported to locations in Japan and Australia, and will be residing in these locations until the situation has been resolved. Citizens in Canada and Mexico will also begin to evacuate the continent, and at the conclusion of this 7-day period of evacuation, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization will be launching a full-scale nuclear attack against the continent of North America, in order to exterminate the mass of hostile individuals. Please immediately gather your emergency supplies and prepare to begin evacuating at once. NATO forces will also be transporting citizens by air to locations in South America, specifically citizens in the Midwest, as there is a large mass of hostiles in this area at the moment. A representative of the President will be speaking on all channels shortly. Please stay tuned for this message. This is the emergency notification system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. During this emergency, most stations will remain on the air, in order to provide news and information to citizens in assigned areas. This is TV2 Minneapolis. We will continue to serve the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 30 seconds. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States government, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. This is a shelter-in-place warning. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. Approximately 25 minutes ago, during a closed meeting of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NORAD detected the launch of approximately 45 nuclear missiles. All of these missiles were on non-US trajectories, and they have now impacted their targets, causing severe damage to their areas of impact. NATO can now confirm that all of these nuclear missiles have impacted locations which were set to be used as evacuation locations for North American refugees, with Europe and Australia being hit by 30 of the 45 launched missiles. Shortly after this, NORAD also made the detection of several B-52 bombers, which had begun operating on their own, and these bombers have dropped bombs directly upon naval vessels which were intended to evacuate citizens from North America on the eastern and western seaboards. Rainstorms have now also begun to impact areas in Eastern Europe, Russia, Africa, and Japan, and it has now been reported that the same hostile individuals have begun to be noticed attacking citizens in these locations outside of the United States. After consulting with his advisors, as well as NATO, the President has made the decision to rescind the previous evacuation order, and all citizens are now being ordered to seek out immediate shelter. It has now been determined that the individuals who have been attacking citizens in the United States are in fact the bodies of the dead. It appears that the chemical agent which was dispersed by rainwater only affects the bodies of the deceased, and it is now reported that these individuals have now surpassed over 100 million persons. This same chemical is currently being dispersed over Europe, Africa, Asia, and Russia, and it is expected that the situation will now become a worldwide threat, rather than a domestic threat as it has been previously. At this time, all persons receiving this broadcast are advised that they should remain in their homes, if at all possible, and if this is not possible, to seek out military or police protection at once. Do not venture outdoors for any reason. Please take all necessary precautions to fortify your place of shelter. Ensure that you have weapons available to you, should one of the Walking Dead attempt to breach your shelter. These creatures can't be stopped by incapacitating the brain, or severing the head from the rest of the body. NATO forces that remain on North American soil will begin to patrol the streets, and will be assisting with the elimination of these creatures. There have also been reports from the Midwestern United States that mechanized beings have been patrolling the streets, and assisting in the elimination of these creatures, and that they appear to be under the control of the weatherman, but the purpose of them assisting in the elimination of the threat is as of yet unexplained. Citizens will be updated on this crisis as further information becomes available. You are listening to the emergency notification system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. This is TV2 in Minneapolis. We will continue to serve the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated to keep you informed. You are listening to the emergency notification system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. This is TV2 Minneapolis. We will continue to serve the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, Please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. Here is a message from your local news station.
This is Jerry Hill with TV2 in Minneapolis, and I am here to bring you a news update about the situation here at home in the Twin Cities. As you've heard from the emergency notification system, this planet is currently being attacked by the Weatherman, and along with nuclear and biological attacks against our species, we now have also learned that the bodies of the dead have indeed returned to life, and these walking dead are seeking vengeance against those who have forgotten them, being the living. At this time, we know of at least 100 million of these creatures roaming the streets of America, and while we do not have any definitive numbers regarding fatalities, we would be shocked if they do not already number in the hundreds of thousands. We've been asked by the FCC and the United States government to provide you all with periodic local news updates regarding the situation here in the Twin Cities area. From what I've seen here in downtown Minneapolis, the situation is dire, to put it lightly. Just outside of the TV2 studios here, we've heard screams from police and military personnel who have been attacked by these creatures. We cannot stress how important it is to remain indoors and as isolated as possible. Even with the recently reissued shelter-in-place warning, we would like to advise anyone hearing this broadcast that if they are in their living rooms, if they are in their dining rooms, if they are on their patios, you need to immediately move to the most isolated location in your shelter, preferably in a basement with no windows. You should also ensure that your home is properly secured. And most of all, and I cannot believe I am saying this, you need to be prepared for the worst, especially if you have children in your home. You must be prepared to defend your children, even more so than you must defend yourself, as the brutality of these zombified corpses show no bounds. Make sure that you ensure, to the best of your ability, that your children will have parents or guardians when this situation is resolved, which we hope that it will be, and soon at that. At this time, there is no true information we received from the United States Army or any law enforcement agencies about the exact numbers of creatures in the Twin Cities area, but we believe they easily extend into the hundreds of thousands, and we do not know when this situation will be resolved. But until this situation does come to a resolution, which we hope it will, we ask that you continue to obey all instructions given to you here via the emergency notification system, and we also ask that you remain tuned in right here on TV2, so that you can remain informed of all of the latest developments, and we will bring them to you as soon as we learn of them ourselves. This has been Jerry Hill here on TV2 with a special news message. We now return you back to the emergency notification system.
That was a message from your local news station. All citizens in the Twin Cities area must remain indoors, and away from any exterior windows or doors, and you must also be prepared to defend your shelter, should zombies breach your shelter. Remember, when the dead are dead, you can sleep soundly in bed. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States Air Force, the Minneapolis Police Department, the Minnesota National Guard, and the Governor's Office. This is a local area emergency. This is a local area emergency for Hennepin County, Minnesota. Around 15 minutes ago, the Minneapolis Police Department reported that many of their officers had been overcome by infected, and that their presence was having little to no effect. They also have reported that only around 100 of their officers can be accounted for at this time, and that the following police department offices had been partially or completely overrun by the infected: the 3rd Precinct on 3000 Minnehaha Avenue, the 2nd Precinct on 1911 Central Avenue, and the 4th Precinct on 1925 Plymouth Avenue. Reports from the National Guard have also stated that the previously mentioned mechanical beings deployed by the Weathermen have begun invading the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and that as many as 50,000 of these beings are currently present. These beings have been noticed as having no aggression against military and civil authorities, and that they have been exterminating infected individuals at a miraculous rate. While these beings are not hostile at the moment, after an emergency meeting between the governor of Minnesota and the United States Air Force, it has been decided that to further expedite the elimination of the infected, that the best course of action is coordinated airstrikes in the most overrun areas of Hennepin County, where the most infected are located. Within the next 45 minutes, airstrikes will be carried out on the following locations in Hennepin County: in the city of Minneapolis, U.S. Bank Stadium, the Minneapolis Institute of Art, Minnehaha Regional Park, the Mall of America, the Minneapolis Sculpture Garden, and the Minneapolis Police Department's 1st, 2nd, and 4th precincts. In St. Paul, the Minnesota Museum of Science, the St. Paul Cathedral, Como Park Zoo and Conservatory, St. Paul College, Fort Snelling, the Minnesota Children's Museum, Alexander Ramsey House, the Fitzgerald Theater, and the Mississippi National River and Recreation Area. Citizens near the aforementioned locations should ensure that they are on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, preferably a basement, or if possible, in a fallout or bomb shelter. If you are still outdoors and are not adhering to the shelter-in-place warning, seek out the nearest sturdy building or cave, and remain there until the airstrikes have ended. Again, within the next 45 minutes, the United States Air Force will be conducting airstrikes in Hennepin County, and citizens hearing this message must seek out shelter now. While these airstrikes will not be utilizing nuclear weapons, it is still warned that the dust and debris that these airstrikes will produce will be deadly if you are exposed for an extended period of time. Dust and debris will cause damage to the lungs, which will make breathing difficult or impossible, leading to suffocation. Citizens should also for no reason attempt to approach the mechanized beings patrolling Hennepin County at this time, as their true motives are as of yet unknown, and while they have not been noticed attacking uninfected individuals, there is no reason to assume that they will not do so if given a chance following the extermination of the infected. Further military support is also incoming, with an additional 50,000 National Guard members being deployed to Hennepin County to assist in the neutralization of all threats, both active and upcoming. Stay tuned to this station for future updates as they become available. This is TV2 in Minneapolis. We will continue to serve the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the Minnesota National Guard and the United States Army. This is a civil danger warning for the following locations. In Minnesota, Hennepin County. This civil danger warning will take effect immediately and will remain in effect until further notice. Approximately 15 minutes ago, the United States Air Force along with the Minnesota National Guard were able to successfully exterminate the remaining infected which were present in the Twin Cities area, and while the situation involving the undead has subsided for the moment in Hennepin County, a far more dire situation has now developed. Approximately 5 minutes ago, members of the United States Army arrived at the Minnesota Capitol building in St. Paul and attempted to evacuate the governor from this location, as the mechanized force was noticed as proceeding directly towards the state capitol. Moments before the governor could be evacuated successfully, a large number of these mechanized beings stormed the state capitol and have exterminated the evacuation team completely, and they were accompanied by an individual who matches the description of the weatherman. At this time, the weatherman has barricaded himself inside of the Capitol building and is currently holding the governor of Minnesota hostage. A force of around 200 to 300 mechanized beings have now barricaded the entrance to the building, and due to the governor being taken hostage, as well as the hostile occupation of the Minnesota State Capitol building, the United States government has determined that until this situation can't be resolved, that the military should now have control over the day-to-day operations of the government of the state of Minnesota, and that United States Army Captain Jason Williams will now hold the position of interim governor of the state of Minnesota. The first order of the interim governor is that to protect national security, the remaining military forces that are present in Hennepin County are to immediately report to the following locations for reassignment: the Ben Franklin Readiness Center and Arden Hills Armory on 1536 Ben Franklin Street Drive in Arden Hills, and the Brooklyn Park National Guard Facility on 5585th Avenue North in Minneapolis. While the ongoing threat of the undead has subsided in Hennepin County, surrounding counties in the state still report that there is a large presence of the undead, and all military forces outside of Hennepin County are being ordered to remain at their current posts and continue to exterminate the undead presence. Finally, all citizens hearing this message must remain in their homes until further notice, and a state of martial law in the state of Minnesota has been issued, and will remain in effect until further notice. At this time, the weatherman has not made any demands, and all mechanized forces have now been determined to be hostile. The United States Army would like to remind citizens that for no reason should they approach these beings, as they are now viewed as enemies of democracy. Further information on this developing situation will be transmitted as it becomes available. This is the emergency notification system serving the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated to keep you informed. This station has interrupted regular programming to participate in the emergency notification system. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the United States Army, the Department of Defense, and the White House. Here is an update on the situation at the Minnesota State Capitol building in Hennepin County. Approximately 10 minutes ago, contact was made with the weatherman's forces when one of the mechanized beings, who identified themselves as Sandra Williams, intruded upon a call between the President of the United States, the Phantom, and the Director of the FBI. During this brief period of contact between Sandra and the President, it was disclosed that the weatherman is demanding control of all radar, satellite, and telemetry systems, along with governance over the state of Minnesota, and the release of an incarcerated individual whose identity is known to authorities, but is not being released to the public at this time. The time limit for this exchange is 48 hours, and during this period, the weatherman has pledged that the undead will cease their attacks, and that all rainstorms will cease worldwide. They have also stated that their mechanized force will assist in delivering food and water to citizens. However, if the weatherman's demands are not met by the expiration of the time limit, they have stated that they will trigger a global series of rainstorms with a variant of the previously deployed chemical agent, which when coming into contact with living beings, will transform them into mindless, aggressive, cannibalistic beings with no purpose other than murder. At this time, a decision has not been made regarding whether or not these demands will be complied with, but all citizens hearing this message are still being asked to remain in their homes or current place of shelter, and that they continue monitoring television and radio stations to receive the latest news and information on this developing situation. This is TV2 in Minneapolis. We will continue to serve the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. This station has interrupted regular programming to participate in the emergency notification system. This is a local area emergency. The following message has been issued at the request of the United States Army. Approximately 10 minutes ago, military and civil authorities at the Minnesota Capitol building were ambushed by a group of around 500 citizens who overpowered authorities and attempted to breach the Capitol building. However, before this group could reach the doors to the Capitol building, the mechanized force of the weatherman charged these citizens, and have exterminated a large portion of these citizens, with around 45 citizens managing to breach the Capitol building. However, around 3 minutes after the citizens entered the building, remaining authorities were greeted by Sandra Williams, who delivered them a box with a note attached to it saying simply, "I'm not to be disturbed again." Upon opening the box, they discovered 45 bloodied cellular phones, and it has now been determined that the weatherman personally eliminated the citizens who stormed the building in an attempt to end the situation themselves. At this time, civilians are being reminded that for no reason should they exit their homes, and that they should not attempt to attack or fight back against the weatherman's forces, as it may lead to global consequences. Again, civilians should for no reason exit their homes or attempt to fight back against the weatherman's forces for any reason, as it may lead to global consequences. This message will retransmit in 1 minute. This is TV2 Minneapolis. We will continue to serve the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, you should now tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated to keep you informed. You are listening to the emergency notification system. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. This is TV2 Minneapolis. We will continue to serve the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. Here is a message from your local news station.
Hello, and once again I am Jerry Hill here with a TV2 news update for you. We have some new information regarding what exactly is going on in the Minnesota state capitol now, almost 30 minutes removed from a noble attempt by some of St. Paul's finest to neutralize the weatherman and end this crisis once and for all. As we all now know, this heroic act ended up escalating the situation significantly, with the weatherman warning of dire consequences should they be disturbed again. We now have some further insight into what exactly is going on in the St. Paul area at this time from a press release we were just handed from the office of the interim governor, Jason Williams. This press release states that while the situation which occurred involving the rebellious citizens nearly caused a significant escalation in tensions between the weatherman and authorities, that they have since been able to make contact again with Sandra Williams, the PR spokesperson, shall we say, of the weatherman, and they have been able to negotiate with the weatherman about evacuating citizens within a 3-mile radius of the Capitol building to other safe locations. We've been told that the weatherman was surprisingly calm when asked for assistance in doing so, and since that time, we have been told that military officials have been permitted by mechanized forces to begin evacuating citizens out of this 3-mile area. We have also been told that the interim governor did speak with the governor at this time, and that the governor is alive and well, but is justifiably shaken being captive in his place of work. We have also received some news updates from some of our national affiliate stations, stating that the undead indeed have ceased hostilities towards citizens for the time being, and that they are simply standing still and letting themselves be exterminated, with there being no signs of resistance. In addition, even though mechanized forces have been in close proximity when the dead were terminated, they did not retaliate against citizens for exterminating the undead, likely a sign that the weatherman's threat is justified, and that they believe that if the president does not cooperate, humanity will not be able to survive, regardless of how many infected they take out now. Finally, we here at the TV2 studios in Minneapolis have now been essentially held hostage ourselves, as a large mechanized force stormed our building here in downtown Minneapolis around 20 minutes ago, and they seem to be guarding the station rather than attacking it. I had the chance to speak with one of these beings, and I asked it, just before going on the air here, why they were here, and they stated that, quote, the weatherman has ordered them to ensure the public remains informed, and that news stations are to be protected both during the negotiation period and afterwards, regardless of the outcome. It seems that the weatherman views dominion over the airwaves as a vital piece of the puzzle, and while we do not agree with the actions of the weatherman in the slightest, we also will not object to being protected. Once again, I am Jerry Hill, here in the TV2 newsroom in Minneapolis, and this has been a special news message for the Twin Cities area. We now return you once again to the emergency notification system.
That was a message from your local news station. All citizens in the Twin Cities area must remain indoors, and away from any exterior windows or doors. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute. We interrupt regularly scheduled programming to bring you this emergency action notification. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this message. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the White House. Approximately 5 minutes ago, a missile impacted Pure Health Incorporated's headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, and this detonation has left apocalyptic damage to the surrounding area. At this time, contact has been made with both the weatherman and the Phantom, and both of them have denied responsibility for this attack, and claim that an as of yet unidentified third party is responsible for the attack. All persons hearing this broadcast need to be prepared to seek immediate shelter, as it is unclear where, or if subsequent attacks will take place. The weatherman has stated that they will immediately deploy mechanized forces to the Stamford area in an attempt to locate and rescue survivors, and the Phantom has mobilized in order to assist in the recovery operation as well. Additionally, the Department of Homeland Security believes that a terrorist organization is responsible for this attack, but they have not yet been able to validate this conclusion. As a precaution, all citizens within a 20-mile radius of a Pure Health Incorporated medical facility are being ordered to evacuate at once, as it is believed that the attack purposely targeted the company's headquarters, and may be solely interested in harming this corporation. The President of the United States would also like to state that, while a resolution between the United States government and the weatherman has not yet been fully resolved, that he has agreed to hand over telemetry and radar systems to the weatherman, in exchange for an extension of the time limit, to which the weatherman has agreed. It is still unknown what the weatherman intends to do with these systems, but citizens should also be on alert in the case that the weatherman uses these systems to launch subsequent attacks against humanity. The President would also like to ask all citizens along the west coast of the United States to seek shelter further inland, as the weatherman has reported that a hurricane, which developed naturally, is set to impact the west coast within the next 36 hours. Again, a naturally formed hurricane is set to impact the west coast within the next 36 hours, and citizens in this area need to seek shelter further inland. This message will repeat in 1 minute. You are listening to the emergency notification system serving the Los Angeles area. If you are not in this local area, you should now tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. We interrupt regularly scheduled programming to bring you this hurricane warning for the following locations in Southern California: Orange County, Los Angeles County, Kern County, Ventura County, San Luis Obispo County, Kings County, Tulare County, Fresno County, Madera County, Mariposa County, Merced County, San Benito County, Stanidas County, Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, San Mateo County, Alameda County, San Joaquin County, Contra Costa County, Marin County, Napa County and Solano County. This hurricane warning will take effect as of 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, and will remain in effect until 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time Saturday. An extremely large and violent hurricane is set to make landfall tomorrow evening across the Southern Californian coastline. A hurricane warning is in effect, along with a wind advisory, a flood warning, and a tornado watch for all of Southern California until 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time Saturday. Preparations to protect life and property in the warned areas should be rushed to completion to protect against the storm when it makes landfall tomorrow. If possible, all persons hearing this message should attempt to evacuate at least 300 miles inland to avoid the dangers of this hurricane. Once making initial landfall, the hurricane will continue to impact the warned areas over the following 12 to 18 hours. This is an extremely dangerous hurricane, with the weatherman estimating that it is at least Category 5 in strength, with sustained winds estimated to be between 180 to 290 miles per hour. The storm has continued to strengthen in intensity since it was first detected by the weatherman yesterday. Hurricane force winds can extend outward up to 125 miles from the hurricane's core, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 300 miles. The weatherman has reported that at last measurement from their TIROS systems, reported that minimum central pressure was around 875 millibars. Coastal storm surge flooding of 24 to 30 feet above normal tide levels along with large and dangerous waves can't be expected near and north of where the hurricane will make landfall. At this time, the weatherman predicts that the initial point of landfall will be near Los Angeles, California. Rainfall totals are expected to range from 18 to 24 inches per hour, with isolated higher amounts in areas closer to the hurricane's core. Isolated tornadoes are also possible throughout the duration of the storm. If you have not already begun to evacuate, do so at once. When the storm makes landfall, persons stuck on the roads will be inundated with water and will face a watery grave. Once wind speeds reach hurricane force, trees and power lines will be snapped like twigs. Further advisories will be issued by the weatherman at 7 o'clock and 9 p.m. this evening, followed by the next complete advisory at 11 p.m. again. A hurricane warning has been issued for the following locations in Southern California: Orange County, Los Angeles County, Kern County, Ventura County, San Luis Obispo County, Kings County, Tulare County, Fresno County, Madera County, Mariposa County, Merced County, San Benito County, Stanidas County, Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, San Mateo County, Alameda County, San Joaquin County, Contra Costa County, Marin County, Napa County and Solano County. This hurricane warning will take effect as of 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, and will remain in effect until 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time Saturday. This is the emergency notification system serving the Los Angeles area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 1 minute. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States government, the United States Air Force, and Global Strike Command. This is a civil danger warning for the continental United States. This civil danger warning will remain in effect until further notice. Approximately 10 minutes ago, military officials in St. Paul, Minnesota reported that a large-scale airstrike of some sort took place against the Minnesota State Capitol building, and that the building has experienced severe damage. Officials have now reported that hostilities from the undead have resumed following this strike, and at this time, it appears that the undead are no longer under the control of the weatherman, as the mechanized force near the Capitol building has been steadily growing in size, and now as many as 10,000 mechanized soldiers are on the scene, and are protecting the building, along with civil and military authorities from attacks by the undead. At this time, all citizens are in extreme danger from attacks by the undead. The undead have now been noticed as sprinting towards their targets at speeds upward of 10 miles per hour, and they now have also begun to target sources of power. It is unclear why they are targeting power sources, but at this time, the FCC is ordering all citizens to power off all devices connected to an electrical outlet, and to continue to monitor the emergency notification system via battery or crank-operated radios or televisions. Cellular phones should also be powered off, as it appears that the undead are also being drawn to cellular signals, as they have been heavily attacking cell towers and telephone lines in extreme numbers. They have not been noticed as drawn to television or radio signals as of yet, but all citizens must be prepared in the case of a break-in by the undead. Prepare yourself to defend the lives of you and your loved ones. Gather any weaponry you can, and proceed to the innermost portion of your shelter. If possible, reinforce doors to this location using metal or stone. In addition, it appears that the undead are no longer being attracted via noise, and are only attacking those that they can make eye contact with. Remain out of sight, and you should make it through the night. The President of the United States will be speaking on all channels shortly. Please stay tuned for this message. This is the emergency notification system serving the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. This is an emergency action notification. All satellite television and satellite radio providers shall transmit this emergency action notification message. TV2 has interrupted its regular programming at the request of the White House to participate in the emergency notification system. During this emergency, most stations will remain on the air providing news and information to the public in assigned areas. This is TV2 Minneapolis. We will continue to operate during this emergency. If you are not in this local area, you should tune to stations providing news and information for your local area. You are listening to the emergency notification system. Do not use your telephone. Telephone signals will attract the undead. Providers may opt to tune to a local radio or television station providing news and information for your area. It is important that you listen carefully to announcements from stations in your local area. This station will continue to broadcast the emergency notification system until the conclusion of this crisis. The President of the United States, or his representative, will shortly deliver a message over the emergency notification system. Please stand by for this. Ladies and gentlemen, the Phantom.
My fellow Americans, I am speaking to you on behalf of the President of the United States. At this time, attacks from the undead have resumed, following an airstrike on the Minnesota State Capitol building. This is the location where my former employer and the mastermind of the events of late was hiding themselves and pulling the strings. At this time, I can confirm that the weatherman is currently inoperative, but I would also like to state that this does not mean that the weatherman is deceased. I come to you to bring you the news that the chaos that is currently ravaging the United States is due to one entity, which me and the President have discovered have been paying the weatherman and directly instructed him to carry out his attacks upon the world via precipitatory dispersal of a virus that brought the dead back to life. It is none other than the virus's manufacturer, Pure Health Incorporated. Pure Health Incorporated, and more specifically their founder, whose name I will omit from this message, ordered the weatherman to attack and worked with the Daedalus Corporation in order to build the mechanized army that has currently turned against its masters and is now becoming a force for good. I have taken over control of this army, and I have given them two directives. 1. To protect life and property. And 2. To eliminate the founder of Pure Health Incorporated. The founder has also been influencing elected officials, as the Secretary of the Interior attempted to assassinate the president approximately 45 minutes ago at the order of the founder, but they were unsuccessful, as me and my companion neutralized the threat before it could strike your president down. At this time, I am organizing a counterattack against both the undead and Pure Health Incorporated that will require an immense amount of power. This is why the undead have been attempting to destroy all sources of power. But there's one source that they will not dare destroy. That source is located in St. Paul, Minnesota, and is located directly below the Capitol building, hence why the weatherman wanted control of the building and the government. At this time, citizens must simply continue obeying all directives from authorities, and you must also remember, matches, never touch. They can hurt you very much. Do not assist Pure Health Incorporated or its employees. They actively wish for this nation's downfall and plan to gain dominion over it once they accomplish their goals. But I solemnly swear that I will not allow them to succeed. Please continue to monitor the emergency notification system. This station will now temporarily cease transmission. It will resume transmission in approximately 14 minutes, 35 seconds, and 2 milliseconds.
The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United States Geological Survey and the White House. Approximately 14 minutes ago, the Phantom attempted to put a permanent end to the ongoing crisis impacting the Earth, and attempted to take the founder of Pure Health Incorporated into custody in connection with these undead attacks. However, approximately 1 minute ago, the United States Geological Survey has detected multiple, powerful earthquakes throughout the Midwestern United States. Some of these earthquakes include a magnitude 6.5 earthquake in St. Paul, Minnesota, a magnitude 9.5 earthquake in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, a magnitude 7.6 earthquake in Chicago, Illinois, and a magnitude 9.9 earthquake in Madison, Wisconsin. At this time, the reason for the occurrence of these earthquakes are unknown, but it is believed that the most powerful earthquake, which emanated from Madison, Wisconsin, has an origin point that lies directly underneath the home of the founder of Pure Health Incorporated. Due to the possibility of further earthquakes, and the high likelihood of powerful aftershocks, all residents of the Midwestern United States are being ordered to take the following actions. Locate a sufficient place of refuge that will provide acceptable protection from any debris, and will not falter should other portions of your shelter collapse. Furthermore, remain away from windows. Consider seeking shelter underneath furniture to shield your body from possible debris, and remain away from any glassware or heavy objects. This station has interrupted regularly scheduled programming to participate in this activation of the emergency notification system. This is TV2 in Minneapolis. We will continue to serve the Twin Cities area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The President will be speaking on all stations shortly. Please stand by for this message. The emergency notification system has been... We interrupt regularly scheduled programming for this emergency action notification message. This is a global emergency. Please stand by. The following message has been transmitted at the request of the United Nations Global Strike Command and the White House. Approximately 1 minute ago, a 13.9 magnitude earthquake took place in Madison, Wisconsin. Just moments after this earthquake, the Phantom reported that an unknown aerial vehicle of some sort had pierced through the earth and has now begun to rise into the skies. This aerial vehicle has been delivering extremely dangerous and deadly surges of energy directly into the earth and has been releasing the previously reported upon variant of the zombie virus that will turn living beings into zombies upon inhalation. At this time, there have been reports of similar events taking place in Moscow, Russia, Tokyo, Japan, Beijing, China, Melbourne, Australia, London, England, Johannesburg, South Africa, and Sao Paulo, Brazil, and at this time, it appears that Pure Health Incorporated's founder has launched a global attack against humanity. In addition to these unknown aerial vehicles, there has been a report from St. Paul, Minnesota, stating that an unknown woman has appeared outside of the Minnesota Capitol building, and at last report, this woman has begun to exterminate the undead in extreme numbers. She was accompanied by around 50 other, seemingly humanoid beings, and they have begun to construct some sort of dome over Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota, and due to this, authorities have reported that this newly unleashed virus will likely be unable to impact the Twin Cities. Finally, similar beings have been detected near Las Vegas, Nevada, Portland, Oregon, Phoenix, Arizona, and Des Moines, Iowa, and have begun constructing similar dome-like structures. The identity of these individuals are unknown, as are their motives, but at this time, all citizens not located in the aforementioned cities need to immediately attempt to put on a gas mask, and if you do not have one, that you attempt to ensure that no outside air can enter your home for at least 14 days. Repeating, all persons not located in one of the aforementioned cities must immediately put on a gas mask, or if you do not have one, attempt to ensure that no outside air can enter your home for at least 14 days. At this time, the President is unable to address the American people, as they are being moved to an undisclosed safe location, as are other world leaders, and until an address by the President or his designated representative, the Phantom is able to be made, all stations will be taken over by the emergency notification system, and this message will repeat until further notice. Please stand by for this message. You are listening to the emergency notification system serving the Minneapolis area. If you are not in this local area, please tune to a station providing news and information for your local area. The emergency notification system has been activated. This message will repeat in 30 seconds.
Hey, Matt. I sip my drink, I do my dance. Don't throw no stones, don't hide my hands. I play my part, I play it well. I trim the fat, still tip the scale. I fought that fight, I fought like hell. I ran that race, I tripped, I fell. I got right back up, quick, they calling for backup. I might bend them like Beckham, spin around and pull right back up. Can't be faded like haircuts, my fade wasn't in handcuffs. It was in killing them stages, reaching new levels and stages. Had me going through phases, I done been patient for ages. Should've got booked like pages, now we just buzzing like pages. Nah, Cuddy, you don't want drama at all, Cuddy. I don't be hating at all, Cuddy. I said love was the law, Cuddy. Ayy. Yeah, so you can fuck off, Cuddy. I just be talking that talk, Cuddy. Get lost and go find God, Cuddy. Match.